Welcome to another edition of the REPMO Football Show presented by Beauty and Wellness Co. And I'm joined by Coach Ryan Cornelsen for another week. We're going to talk about the upcoming season opener against Nixa, who comes to town. But first, I wanted to check in with you, Coach, on just the last couple of weeks. I know heat was a major factor, although it's cooled off this week. But talk to me about how, from the time we spoke right before Friday Night Lights, then you had the week off, and then everybody comes back and really starts hitting it hard. Talk to me about those couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've been on this schedule for this is our 5th year. So the kids understand what our schedule is. They understand the first week, what it looks like, and then to the Saturday practice, and then even all the way the second week into what we do on Friday instead of a jamboree and what that practice looks like. So we did have to adjust our schedule some and go in the evenings when it did get too hot, but I felt like it was a good 2.5 weeks there. I felt like we got accomplished what we needed. Kids did a good job, worked hard, tried to see some improvement. But I really feel like the kids understanding the schedule, going through the same system each and every year, has allowed us to be able to get a lot accomplished in practice. So really happy with the first two weeks and excited for this third week to get some things ironed out and be ready to go.
We've talked in the past about the fact that you don't do a jamboree, and that kind of caught everybody's, including me, by surprise when you first got here. A lot of people may not realize that if they're new to the program, but talk to me about the reasoning. And then also one thing I don't know that I've ever asked, what do you do on Friday instead of a jamboree? Is it a typical practice? But first, you can answer both of those. Right.
So the jamboree, a few reasons. One being the only way you ever remember a jamboree is if something bad happens. And for me, nobody wins a game at a jamboree, but you could lose a player to injury or something like that, and all of a sudden that jamboree just became extremely important in a bad way. The second reason is you see these teams at jamborees, they'll play their starters 5-6 plays, maybe 10 at the most. They'll run plays they don't want to show for week one. So now you're playing not with the guys that are going to play, and you're running stuff that you're not going to run. And I just don't see any value in that. I don't see it. To me, it's not worth the risk reward for our players. So that's why we choose not to. We spend our Friday, first we go through the routine of what our pre-practice is going to look like on Thursday, how we go through that. So we do a Thursday practice essentially, and then we come back, we do our pre-game, what we're going to do on Friday night, what that looks like, and we go through it and actually do it. And then we do game simulation, so how we're going to personnel package in and out. And so it's a non-contact day for us, but it is a day that somewhere along the line you would have to utilize a day to do those things. You don't want to go out and not know where you go for pregame. So we feel like there's some justice to what we're doing on that Friday, not having to use another day, a true practice day to do that. So that's what we use that Friday for, and I feel like it's been good to us. If you can play long enough, it's a long season as it is, and I just don't feel the need for a jamboree at this point, and so we've chosen to create our own path and do our own thing, and it's been good to us.
Yeah, so really on that Friday you're practicing for game night, but you're not practicing the game part of game night. For
sure, there's no doubt. And again, you'd have to take the time to do that somewhere. Right. And so it's nice for us to go through that and have a non-contact day after a full week of contact. And I think it's been good for our players, and I think it's good for our program.
All right. Got Nixa coming to town on Friday. We're going to talk about last year's game, didn't go so well, and talk about what's coming up and what you expect on Friday after this on the REPMO Football Show.
This is Vanessa at Beauty and Wellness Co. At Beauty and Wellness, we are all about REPMO spirit, and we're also about helping you optimize your internal wellness and enhance your external beauty. Whether you're looking to age gracefully or just looking for a boost of energy to help you refuel and recover, we are the place to go. Visit our spot at Highway 174 and Main Street. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Beauty Plus Wellness CO, or call us at 417-590-8200.
Go Tigers!
Welcome back to the REPMO Football Show. David Brazil alongside Coach Ryan Cornelsen, and you'll notice we've got drinks from Whataburger. Want to thank Mark at Whataburger for stepping up to provide those on the show during the season. So Nixa comes to town on Friday, and they'll look different, but good, as it seems like they always are. And last year you had an inexperienced team, and talked about that, having to face them on week one. Got a little more experience this year, and so that might change some things, but we've got some highlights here that we'll run of last year's game, such as they are, and you can kind of talk about last year and maybe how things might be different this year.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's a tall task to come out and play one of the state's best teams, if not the state's best team, week one. We're excited for the challenge. We don't back down from the challenge, but there is some things that have to happen for you to have a chance to beat a team like that, or game one. And I think if you watch these drives here, we were able to move the ball. We were able to do what we say, move the chains, which is the important part. But we also had breakdowns. We had, with penalties and turnovers and some of those things, we created some bad situations for ourselves. And hopefully with maturity and having a group that's with more experience, maybe we can eliminate some of that. From an offensive standpoint, to beat a team like Nixa, you're going to have to really eliminate a lot of those penalties and things we weren't able to do last year, which put us in a tough position. We'll also have to be able to just watching that there, being able to utilize the play action pass, and if they load the box too heavy, find guys in the flats and make the easy pass and take first downs. And so we did a nice job of that there on that play.
We'll talk about the penalties and the turnovers that kind of stood out when we do our by the numbers segment, but as you said, you moved the ball. One thing that I thought was key was you got behind early, and you look at the fourth down conversions. I think you only went for it on fourth one time.
Right.
You kind of got in some situations in falling behind that aren't really, they don't go with the style of play that you want to play.
Right. It was untypical of us, and again, those are always tough decisions, and you're thinking game one. Are you executing at a high enough level to feel comfortable doing those in your own side of the field or whenever they may occur with an entirely new offense, which is what it was last year. So a lot of those things go into those into those decisions. This year, I feel like we've a lot of the guys have been down this road and understand what it takes, and so you're a little more confident going in now. That being said, we do have a lot of new faces in there as well that they're going to have to speed up to the game speed quickly for us to feel comfortable doing those things, making those decisions to go for it on fourth down, because that is who we are. That's our style. That's our that's what we do. We just got to be ready to do it game one. For example, that's a miscue. People, and again, I don't know, fair or not fair, but people try to simulate your snap count, and they'll yell stuff at you and get you to jump off sides, and we work it. We have to be disciplined. We know that's going to occur, and so when they do that, we've got to be ready to only listen to one voice and not jump off sides. But it got us here a couple times in this game, and so we've got to prevent that, because it went from third and short to third and long, and obviously that's a major play call change there.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing you might be able to overcome against a lot of opponents,
right.
But you get somebody like Nixa, and that makes it that much harder to keep that chain.
It really does, and we're a lot of the times in early games, like right there, we were one block away. If we pick up one more block, Cannon probably breaks that thing loose, and so those blocks we have to execute at a really high level and be able to do that game one.
Defense now, as we look at some of this, it was big plays that did you in for the most part. There were times when you were slowing them down, making them work for their yardage, but then they'd bust a big one.
Yeah, and a lot of times the big ones were on crucial downs. I think here in a minute they get a first on either fourth or third and long. And so being able to hold up and get them off the field, it will be key. I think the other thing, game one, you're looking at, and the first play showed several, is missed tackles. You're not going to beat people, especially a team as good as Nixa if you don't do a good job of tackling. And we work it every day. We do we're doing the tackling drills, but when you get out there and things are at game speed and game one, you just got to be able to wrap up and get guys on the ground.
One guy who is back, we talked about they've got some new players, but Adam McKnight, their quarterback, is a talented quarterback and can do a bunch of different things. How much do they've got so much talent, how much can you focus on a guy like McKnight, and how much you just have to sort of take your lane?
It's pretty tough. They not only they got him, but they got the two move-ins. Probably one of the top running backs in Missouri moved in. So now you got a two-headed monster back there, and then probably one of the states, Kansas's best receivers moved in. So now they got an extra weapon there. So you put those two guys, really that's what makes them tough to stop. Is now they have several weapons at several spots, and on a team that had good players anyway, now you add those additions, and it makes it a tougher task. You can't isolate on one guy. Everybody's got to do their job, and we got to make sure we try to take away the quarterback, but also the running back, and be able to defend in the pass game, and so they're going to have some big plays. Like they're not that good offense, and feel like you're not going to give up any. I'm not so worried about the big plays. I'm worried about the big moments, the third and fours. Those are the ones we can't give up. When we get them in a fourth and medium or a third and long, making sure we're able to win that down is probably the biggest key for our defense. And understand when they get a big play, hey, line up and play the next play. We focus on the next play, and there are just too many weapons they have to say they're not going to get an explosive player. They're going to get a few. You just got to battle the other plays and try not to give them first downs.
We're looking at some offensive clips again now, but just quickly back to defense while this plays. We're going to have Kaleb Norman in here and talking to him. Talk about his role on the defense.
Yeah, he's been a big part of it. He's been a starter as a sophomore, and then last year was the starter all year, and really is the leader of our defense. He lines us up, whether you want to call him a quarterback or another coach. You can give him a lot of names, but he is an integral part of not just his position, but our entire system defensively, and he does a good job of getting guys lined up, but then also understanding what we're trying to do and what gaps we're trying to fill, and allows him to play fast because he understands it so well that he knows where other guys, he trusts his teammates, puts them in lines them up correctly and knows where they're going to go, and gives him a chance to really play fast in his position.
Another guy with another year of experience at the varsity level is Preston McCracken, the quarterback of the offense, and you saw him there with a short run. How's he grown from that first game as a varsity quarterback last year?
Yeah, I think confidence. I think he was always confident, but I'm not sure. Early in the year, he was more trying to figure it out as far as, okay, what's the speed of this? How fast is my read going to have to be? Because you don't know. You can simulate it all you want in practice, and we do it all summer long, but until you get out there and do it, now I think he knows how fast things are going to come or not come, what reads he's got to make quick, he's got time, and so just having confidence and then understanding the speed of his reads is going to make it easier for him to do that. I mean, so far he hasn't missed one, so he's done pretty well game one, but I just think now he knows and doesn't, it's not going to be new to him game one. He's going to know exactly what to expect, but obviously he's had should have pitched that one, but other than that, he did pretty well. But just he had a great year. He's extremely athletic. He's competitive. He understands what we do really well, and he gives us a chance with the ball in his hand from running or from throwing. So hopefully he has a big night this week and every week, because we're going to need him to have big nights.
He was just trying to get one more play on the drive.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
More offensive plays are always something that you can look at. We're going to talk about some of the numbers from last year's game when we come back after this on the REPMO Football Show. Welcome back to the REPMO Football Show presented by Beauty and Wellness Co. And we want to take a look at some of the numbers from last year. Not so good in that first week against Nixa last year. But thanks to Elliott Robinson and company for sponsoring this look at the stats every week. And we'll have this throughout the season. You look at some of the numbers and you got your yards, as we said earlier. Maybe not as many as you often did, but the 278 total yards is not a horrible number, just weren't able to finish a lot of drives.
Yeah, rewind what we just watched on the film. The thing that stood out to me right there with the clips you chose is for a young team, or not a young team, an inexperienced team. We were down 14-0, and instead of pressing the panic button, instead of pointing finger or getting frustrated, you watched our inexperienced offense drive it all the way down the field, one play at a time, move the chains, and punch in the end zone. And so I know the game didn't end up the way we wanted, but when you see drives like that within the game, you really, like as a coach, I realize what we're capable of. We just got to be able to do that every drive. And so obviously last year, looking at these, we weren't able to do it consistently. The two that stand out to me is you're not going to beat good teams and lose the turnover and the penalty battle. You got to try to win both of those two because those are in your control. And so we've got our yards. Obviously, they're an explosive offense. They're going to have yards. Like I said, you're not going to completely shut down an offense that's capable like theirs. And our offensive yards are there. But the penalties and the turnovers, those are things that can beat you in a hurry, and so things we'll be trying to avoid this year, trying to improve on, is to continue to move the ball, be consistently move the chains, put the ball in the end zone, and try not to turn it over or have penalties.
And especially with the way you run the offense, when you're getting 3 and 4 yards every time, the penalties hurt a little bit more than when you've got a guy who can break off a 20-yard run.
Right, it does. There's no doubt it's tougher in our system, and that's why our kids understand how important it is. That we still feel like we got plays that we can create those kind of yards, and we don't panic. But it when you don't have those and you get that 3 or 4 yards, it's makes things easier and more what you're hoping happens.
So that's a look at the numbers from last week. We'll do this every week, courtesy of Elliott Robinson Company, and we're going to take another break and be back with Kaleb Norman after this on the REPMO Football Show.
Looking for your next ride? Come see us at Pinnaker Chevrolet in Republic. Not only do we have a great selection of new Chevrolets on the lot, we've got a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all makes, all models, ready to drive home today. Need to sell or trade? We're buying cars, trucks, and SUVs, and we'll give you top dollar, no strings attached. Fair deals with local people you can trust. Let our family take care of yours at Pinnaker Chevrolet in Republic or online at pinnakerchevrolet.com.
Back for another segment of the REPMO Football Show, and linebacker Kaleb Norman joins us. And Kaleb, thanks for taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having me on here.
So I wanted to step back. You've been a starter for 3 years, and I want to step back to your sophomore year. You had a big play in a playoff game, had an interception that kind of turned things around. And I've always been curious, as you've grown and played more seasons, did that shape you in any way or give you confidence, or how has that affected you?
The play definitely gave me confidence going into that state game and going into my junior year. But it was just one play, so still have to build and continue to get better. And it was awesome that I was in that position to make the play, but just got to continue to get better and improve on the years. And that was 2 years ago now, so we got to build a fresh start this year and continue to get better and hopefully make a run at it this year.
How have you changed, do you think, over the course of the last 2 years?
The game's slowed down a lot for me. I've gotten a lot smarter. You know, I understand coach's defense is better. It allows me to play faster. It allows me to help out my teammates. And physically, I've gotten stronger, gotten a little bit faster, not a whole lot, but gotten a little bit faster. And, you know, just having that knowledge of coach's defense and, you know, learning his schemes and how he thinks, you know, that helps me be able to play faster and, you know, help my teammates improve as well.
We've talked in the offseason, Coach Cornelsen and I and others about your role now almost as a quarterback for the defense in helping to line everybody up and make sure everybody's on the same page. Could you talk to me about your role in that sense?
Yeah, so whenever coach goes over the game plan, I try and, you know, listen to everything he says, make sure I know what everybody's supposed to be doing. That way I can do my job better and make sure I know where I need to be and what gaps I need to fill. And, you know, pre-snap, I'm always paying attention to where the guys should be lined up so I know where I need to go. And, you know, when they're not lined up right, that throws everything off defensively. And Coach Sedbrook always talks about, you know, the big plays that they have, we're not lined up correctly. So getting lined up pre-snap is always huge because that helps, you know, the game plan's built on that pre-snap. So pre-snap, we always need to be lined up right. So that's a big part in my game.
Okay. The defense as a whole, as a unit, what would you say this unit's personality is like, maybe as opposed to the last couple of years? Or how would you characterize the personality of this defense?
We're hard-nosed. We're going to go hit you in the mouth every play. That's the goal. You know, we don't have size on our side, so we got to be physical. We got to go downhill. We got to make plays, and we got to play fast. So I'd say personality-wise, we're hard-nosed, and we're ready to, you know, make you feel it offensively.
Do you is hitting your favorite part of playing defense, or what do you like about defense?
I like the mind games that go into it, you know, because the offense knows what they're supposed to do every play. So I like, you know, being on the defense, I have to, you know, kind of guess pre-snap what they're going to do, you know, and react fast to what they do actually do. So I like that aspect of it, that I have to use my head a little bit more than my, you know, my speed or my size, because I'm not super fast, so I can't just rely on pure athleticism. So I have to use my brain pre-snap and, you know, see what they do and react fast.
Is there something you think that this defense will surprise people with?
I think we're going to surprise people a lot this year. Just, you know, period. Some people think we're not going to be as good this year as we were last year, and I think that we're going to come out. We lost 2 starters on the defensive line. I think our D-line's really going to step up this year and make some big plays for us, and I'm excited to see that happen, and I think our secondary is going to improve a lot as well.
Everybody talks about how complex the offense is here under Coach Cornelsen. How complex is the defense?
Defensively, he tries to make it so we can play fast. He tries to keep it simple for the younger guys, especially earlier in the season, so that way we can play downhill and play fast and we're not thinking as much. As the season goes on, it does get a little more complex, but he really tries to keep it simple and allow us to play fast.
So you got Nixa in week 1. What are you thinking about that game?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
You know, last year didn't go how we wanted it to, but I think this year we've got the guys to get it done. I'm excited to see who steps up, who makes some plays. I'm excited to see what they throw at us. You know, you never know going into week 1 what somebody's going to throw at you. So I'm excited to see, you know, how the game plan comes together and how we adjust, you know, because they're going to have big plays, how we react to that, and, you know, see how we can build from this point on.
You mentioned big plays earlier, and then just mentioned them again, but big plays, that was a part of what they did last year that really killed you.
Yeah. You know, I remember, you know, everybody remembers the second drive of the game. You know, their quarterback ran one right up the gut for 80 yards, you know, last year. And we need to hold those to a minimum this year, especially, you know, not allow them to get those and just make a stand, you know, get a few stops and allow our offense to have a chance.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to the most about this season?
Being senior year, I'm just excited to be with the guys. I'm excited to continue to grow, you know, kind of one last ride with everybody that we played with since, you know, grade school. I'm excited to see how we all come together and, you know, make a run at this thing.
Kaleb Norman, good luck on Friday and good luck this season.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this.
Hines Street Pharmacy, care you trust. Friendly faces, prices neat. Feel better right down Hines Street.
Welcome back to the REPMO Football Show. Coach Ryan Cornelsen. Tomorrow is game day, and what's got you most excited?
You know, I really think it's just, you know, our kids put in the amount of time they have, and excited to see them get out there. You know, it's time. You know, you go against each other for so long in the summer, and then in the first 3 weeks, and you know, so I'm excited to watch them go out there and watch them get excited and watch their effort and how hard they play. You know, there's no doubt we want to make sure each and every week that we play extremely hard, but we execute the plan and see if we can go out, you know, and as a coach, I guess that's probably one of the most important things, or probably you know, one of the things I look at the most is, all right, here was the plan. Were we able to execute it? Was it a bad plan? There's times it happens that the plan is bad and we executed it and it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Then there's times the plan's good, we didn't execute it. And so which one is it, you know, you know, and just find out what our new faces, what they can and can't do. You know, I know it's obviously a huge game, but we don't know what those new faces are going to do when they get in the heat of battle. And maybe they're better than what we thought. Maybe they're not capable of doing something, and we learn that as we go throughout the season, and we get better because of it. So just watch them get excited, watching, you know, the excitement in the crowd, and it's going to be a huge environment. And I tell our kids all the time, you know, we should all be very thankful that we're blessed to play in a program now that we create these type of environments, and that our community's a part of it, and people support our youth. And, you know, there's a lot of kids playing high school football that'll never play in anything close to the environment we'll get tomorrow night. And, you know, that makes it special for our kids, and it's exciting for me to watch them run out and see that crowd and hear the noise. And, you know, what a great high school experience for a high school football player.
All right. Good luck on Friday.
Thanks, sir.
That's it for the REPMO Football Show. We'll see you tomorrow night with live coverage of Nixa